Welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into a sobering piece of history that resonates deeply with the issues we face today. We're discussing the first recorded school shooting in the United States, which took place in Louisville, Kentucky in 1856. This tragic event not only highlights the early roots of school violence, but also sheds light on the societal attitudes toward education and safety. Let's unpack this disturbing chapter in American history. To understand the significance of the 1856 shooting, we first need to set the scene. The mid-19th century was a time of great change in America. The country was on the brink of the Civil War, grappling with issues like slavery and states' rights. Education was becoming increasingly important, but it was also a battleground for societal tensions. Schools were places of learning and community, but they were also reflections of the larger societal conflicts. In Louisville, a city experiencing rapid growth, public schools were starting to gain prominence, but they were often underfunded and overcrowded. The classrooms were a melting pot of children from various backgrounds, which sometimes led to conflicts, particularly among boys. Now let's dive into the incident itself. On May 28, 1856, a conflict erupted between two students, Ward Butler and a fellow student. This altercation escalated quickly, resulting in Butler retrieving a firearm from his home and returning to school. Tragically, he shot and killed his classmate, John M. Bell, in front of their peers. This shocking event marked a grim milestone in the history of American education. It was one of the first instances where a school became the site of such violence, raising questions about safety, responsibility, and the access to firearms. The aftermath was devastating, not just for the families involved, but for the entire community. It forced society to confront the reality that schools, once thought to be safe havens, could become places of tragedy. The immediate reaction to the shooting was a mix of horror and disbelief. The community was shocked. Parents were afraid to send their children to school. The incident also sparked conversations about the need for better discipline in schools and stricter gun control measures. Although these discussions were often limited by the era's attitudes toward personal rights and responsibilities. Ward Butler was tried for his actions, but the legal proceedings were complicated. The case reflected the societal norms of the time, where issues of accountability were often overshadowed by prevailing cultural attitudes. Ultimately, Butler was acquitted, a verdict that sent ripples through the community and highlighted the difficulties in holding young individuals accountable for violent actions. The legacy of this tragic event is significant. It foreshadowed the many school shootings that would plague the United States in the years to come. Each incident has its own story, but they all share a common thread, an underlying concern about the safety of our children in places meant for learning. As we reflect on the historical context of school violence, it's crucial to consider how society has changed, or failed to change, in response. Despite advancements in educational policies and safety measures, the fear of school shootings has remained a prominent issue. This early incident in Louisville is a reminder that the roots of this crisis run deep in American history. To truly understand the significance of the University of Texas Tower shooting, we need to set the stage. The University of Texas at Austin was founded in 1883 and had grown into one of the largest universities in the U.S. by the mid-1960s, with a vibrant student body and a reputation for academic excellence. The 1960s were a time of social upheaval in America. The civil rights movement was gaining momentum, and college campuses were becoming hotbeds for activism. While students were rallying for change, the nation was also dealing with the repercussions of the Vietnam War, leading to increased tensions and divisions within society. This backdrop of political and social unrest created an atmosphere where violence, unfortunately, could occur. On the fateful day of August 1, 1966, Charles Whitman, a 25-year-old former Marine, began his rampage. He had been exhibiting troubling behavior leading up to the event, including severe emotional distress and paranoia. Earlier that day, Whitman killed his mother and wife at their home, setting the stage for his later actions. Whitman then made his way to the University of Texas Tower, which stood 307 feet tall and was a prominent symbol of the campus. Armed with an array of weapons, including a rifle and several handguns, he began shooting at students, faculty, and passers-by from the observation deck. The attack lasted for 96 minutes, during which Whitman killed 14 people and injured 31 others. It was a horrifying scene. Students and faculty were caught in a crossfire, with many trying to escape while others sheltered in place. The chaos and fear of that day would leave a lasting scar on the university community and the nation. The response to the shooting was swift but chaotic. Police and emergency services were dispatched, but they faced significant challenges due to the size of the campus and the sniper's vantage point. What happened next would change policing tactics in active shooter situations. Officers were unprepared for the scale and nature of the incident. However, a group of armed citizens, including a former Marine and a police officer, attempted to subdue Whitman from below, which ultimately helped bring the situation to an end. It wasn't until Austin police officer Ramiro Martinez, along with fellow officers, managed to reach the tower and shoot Whitman, bringing the violence to a halt. This incident marked a turning point for law enforcement, highlighting the need for better preparedness for such crises in the future. The aftermath of the shooting was profound. The university community mourned the loss of life and grappled with the trauma of the event. In the following days, investigations revealed Whitman's troubling mental health history, raising questions about how his issues went unnoticed. This tragedy sparked nationwide discussions about gun control, mental health awareness, and campus safety. Laws surrounding firearms were scrutinized, and it became evident that there needed to be more comprehensive approaches to preventing such violence. Additionally, the University of Texas implemented new safety measures, including emergency response protocols that are still relevant today. This incident also served as a catalyst for future active shooter training for police and educational institutions across the country. Located in a bustling urban area, Thomas Jefferson High School was known for its diverse student body and commitment to education. However, the early 1990s were marked by increasing tensions, both socially and economically, in many communities across the United States. Many schools, including Thomas Jefferson, were facing challenges related to violence, drugs, and gang activity. This context is critical to understanding the environment in which the shooting occurred. The pressures faced by students during this time cannot be overlooked, as they contributed to a culture of fear and conflict within schools. On the fateful day of April 1st, 1993, Khalil Sumter, just 15 years old, opened fire in the second-floor hallway of Thomas Jefferson High School. In a moment of violence that would alter the lives of many, he shot and killed two fellow students, 16-year-old Tyrone Sinkler and 17-year-old Ian Moore. The details surrounding the shooting are tragic. Sumter's actions were reportedly fueled by a combination of personal grievances and escalating tensions within the school environment. Witnesses described the chaos and fear that erupted as students tried to flee the scene, leaving a community in shock and mourning. The immediate response from law enforcement was crucial. Police arrived quickly to secure the scene and ensure the safety of the remaining students. In the aftermath, the focus turned to understanding how such a tragedy could happen and what could be done to prevent future incidents. Khalil Sumter was arrested and charged with multiple offenses, including murder. In 1993, he was sentenced to 6 2/3 to 20 years in prison. This sentence sparked discussions around juvenile justice, particularly concerning how young offenders are treated in the legal system. Many argued that more should be done to address the root causes of youth violence rather than simply punishing the actions. After serving just 5 years, Sumter was released on parole in 1998. His release reignited conversations about school safety and the effectiveness of rehabilitation for young offenders. The impact of the shooting extended far beyond the school. Families were shattered, and the community struggled to heal from the trauma of that day. In the wake of the tragedy, Thomas Jefferson High School implemented new security measures and sought to foster a more supportive environment for students. However, the scars of the incident would linger for years, serving as a painful reminder of the consequences of violence. Fast forward to today, and the issues surrounding school shootings and youth violence are as relevant as ever. The conversation has evolved, but the questions remain. How do we protect our students? What can be done to prevent such tragedies from happening again? This incident serves as a crucial part of the dialogue about mental health, conflict resolution, and the need for supportive school environments. It highlights the importance of addressing the underlying issues that lead to youth violence including family dynamics, socioeconomic factors, and access to resources. Situated in a rural area of Missouri, the Missouri Military Academy was established in 1889 and was known for its strict discipline and focus on leadership development. By the early 1990s, the Academy was serving a diverse group of students, many of whom came from challenging backgrounds and were seeking structure and guidance. However, like many institutions during this period, the school was not immune to the broader societal issues that were surfacing. Issues such as gun violence, mental health struggles, and the pressures faced by young people. The atmosphere within the school was meant to instill responsibility and honor, yet it also faced the challenges of adolescence and the complexities of teenage life. On March 1, 1994, tragedy struck the Missouri Military Academy when a 16-year-old student opened fire in a dormitory. The gunman, identified as a student at the school, shot and killed two fellow students, 15-year-old Chris Nolan and 16-year-old Eric Green. The incident occurred during a time when tensions were reportedly high among students, and it quickly escalated into a deadly confrontation. Witnesses described scenes of chaos and confusion as students tried to escape the gunfire. The school, once a place of safety and learning, became a site of unimaginable horror. This shooting was particularly shocking because military schools are generally perceived as secure environments. The reality that such violence could occur in a place designed to foster discipline and respect shook the community to its core. The academy went into lockdown and emergency protocols were activated. Counseling services were provided to help students process the trauma of the event. The school's leadership, along with law enforcement, began to address the aftermath, ensuring that students had the support they needed during this difficult time. In the days and weeks following the tragedy, there was intense media coverage and community grief. Investigations were launched to understand the factors that led to the shooting. Questions arose about gun access, mental health issues, and the broader societal context that allowed such violence to occur. The gunman faced serious charges, and the legal proceedings highlighted the complexities of dealing with juvenile offenders. This incident opened up discussions about the need for better mental health support in schools and the importance of early intervention for at-risk youth. Moreover, the tragedy prompted discussions about gun control and safety measures in educational settings. Many began advocating for stricter regulations to prevent firearms from falling into the hands of students, particularly in schools where discipline and order were supposed to reign. The Missouri Military Academy, like many institutions that have faced similar tragedies, had to navigate the long-term effects of the shooting. The community mourned the loss of the two students, and the academy made efforts to heal and restore a sense of safety. In the years following the incident, military schools and other educational institutions across the country reevaluated their security protocols. Many implemented measures such as increased surveillance, mental health resources, and training for staff on how to handle crises. Thank you so much for joining us today as we explored the history of the first documented school shooting. It's a tragic chapter that reminds us of the importance of safety and community support in our schools. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more historical content. We appreciate your support. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What reflections do you have on this topic? Let's keep the conversation going and work toward a safer future for all students.